Welcome, everybody, to the Bradenton Blitz. This is Jason Dill, and I'm joined, as always, by David Wilson here at the Bradenton Herald. And we're down to one playoff team, Braden River, after Manatee got smoked by Dr. Phillips in Orlando. And pretty much all we can say about that game was the Hurricanes could not stop the run at all.
Yeah, same thing that happened to him last year against Apopka, allowing more than 400 rushing yards. Offense moved it a little bit late in the game. A.J. Colagiovanni threw for more than 300 yards. Cavius Price had 3 touchdowns. Tariq Milton had 200 receiving yards, but they could not run the ball, and they couldn't stop the run, and that was what it came down to.
Yeah, it's 908 rushing yards allowed in their last 2 playoff losses to Apopka last year in the state semifinals, and this year to Dr. Phillips in a region semifinal. But we have a team that's still alive because they won their region semifinal. Yep. Braden River at home defeated Venice 17-0. We were both out that game covering it. From your perspective, what were some of the things that Braden River were able to do pretty well in that game?
I mean, that defense is really good and locked in right now. They've obviously missed Raymond Thomas in the running game, but Dexter Hodo has been fine. He almost 94 yards, I think, Friday after a 100-yard game the week before. But I mean, the defense shut down Venice. No touchdowns. Only led them in the red zone 3 times, and one was off a turnover. And they'll have a tough test against Plant City, a team that does a lot of different things well offensively. But I think the way that their secondary is playing right now, where they still 2 interceptions in both postseason games, more than 25 total this year. Plant City's probably best player is wide receiver TJ Chase, a former IMG kid. And they should, to an extent, be able to shut him down, I think.
Well, it's kind of a pick your poison. I mean,
they have a good running game as well.
From what I gathered, from what I saw Friday night when I was covering the game with you, was that, yes, Braden River's defense is good. But I've known that for the whole year. Mm-hmm. They've shut down a lot of good teams. Against Venice the first time around, the second half, Venice started making a charge in the regular season meeting. This year, it just didn't happen. And I would say that really, for me, the game-changing moments were in the first half. Ryan Newsel, who is a very difficult matchup problem for a lot of teams. Nobody has the type of defender that can sort of stop a 260, 6'3" tight end and converted from offensive line. He extended a couple drives in that first half that both led to scores for Braden River. I think when Kurt Bradley decided to kick a field goal at the end of the first half, that was key. It stretched the lead to 17-0 at the half. And also John Peacock, head coach of Venice, going for it on 2 separate occasions on 4th down, where if you kick a field goal both times, it's still a manageable game, and maybe it changes the complexion a little bit. But Braden River's defense is just lights out, and Tyrone Collins, a sophomore, coming up with 2 interceptions. He's got 3 of the 4 picks in the postseason for Braden River. They have a lot of interceptions. The secondary is great. But that's all set up because of the defense that they use is that 3-5 defense that just nobody in this area uses except for them. So it's tough to sort of plan for and practice for. I think Plant City's going to have a trouble trying to get adjusted to that right away. And from what I gather, Plant City is a second-half team. They play much better in the second half of football games. Braden River is a team that likes to get out start. I gave you that stat earlier this week that they've outscored their opposition 200 and something to a little bit, basically. So if Braden River gets out to a start on Friday in a region final, yes, it's on the road at Plant City, but they've been on the road before. They've won games on the road. They can get out to a fast start. I think it's going to be that bodes well for the Pirates moving forward.
Yeah, and essentially what Kurt Bradley said in terms of the defense is Plant City has a really good running back, Marquise Hargrove, who's run for nearly 1,600 yards so far this season. If they can not shut him down, but bottle him up to an extent with only 7 or 8 guys in the box, then he trusts his 3 defensive backs to be able to quell Plant City's passing game. They have 2 really good receivers. Their quarterback play isn't exceptional, but passable. So, if they have those 3 back, they feel like they can match up with them.
And that's the thing. I mean, we talked about TJ Chase. Okay, he went to IMG last year, kind of got what he needed out of going to IMG, which is he got himself a commitment to Clemson, which is obviously they're tops in the country, so it's a good program to go to. If you're going to focus in on trying to take him away, then you're going to leave Antoine Thompson, who is their second receiver, who they like to go deep to.
Actually leads the team in yards.
He leads the team in receiving yards, yes, and average yards per game and catch. And so he's one of those guys that yes, they have two good wide receivers, but they also have the other thing too that I noticed about Plant City is that both of those guys play in the secondary too.
Yes, they do.
Braden River doesn't have guys that start both sides of the ball. They'll spell guys here and there on occasion to play both sides of the ball. They've been doing that. When they decided to move Michael Walker to start playing some offensive line in the first game against Venice during the regular season. So they do have that, but they don't have guys that start both sides of the ball. And I think that for me, Braden River's physicality is something that probably might just be enough to wear down Plant City. Not to say it's an automatic given, but with the way that Plant City operates, if they have too many guys that are going, they have the athletes. Let's be clear about it. And you're not making the Elite Eight of the state tournament or the state playoffs, I should say, by accident. We're down into the final 8 teams. We're in the region finals, quarterfinal action of the state playoffs. You're not here by accident. That being said, home game for Plant City, I still think Braden River will have enough to get through and get to a state semifinal for the first time in program history.
I think so too. Plant City hasn't lost since the first game of the season, but that was against Armwood. Obviously, one of the best teams in the state, one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, they're number 1 in Class 6A.
Yeah, but that game was a struggle for Plant City because of the size and physicality of Armwood, which is Braden River's greatest strength. Their lines are big. They're one of the bigger offensive lines in Class 7A, and with that, I think they can move the ball enough on offense and trust their defense to limit Plant City.
Yeah, and like you said, that mission A for them is going to be stopping the run and enforcing their quarterback. Who, look, Braden River has a Division I quarterback in Jacob Huseman that's going to FIU. So if you take away the running game, Braden River likes to run the ball. But if you take away the running game, they have a D1 quarterback back there that can pick you apart too. Whereas for Plant City, their quarterback isn't necessarily the go-to option.
Right.
I think he's completing about 50-something% of his passes this year. He likes to kind of scramble out of the pocket and can run the football. So if Braden River can contain that with the pressure that their defensive line likes to get and push Plant City's offensive line, which is a big offensive line, off the ball, then I think Braden River will have an edge too. And again, depth and wearing a team down physically it's a recipe for success. Manatee has done that in years past on the way to state championships and runs to state semifinals or state championship games. So I think that it's key. I mean, there's no bones about it. Plant City has a lot of athletes, but Braden River's going to have enough bodies, I think, to get the job done. What do you think from as far as the score goes? What's your prediction for Friday night's game at Plant City?
I would think it'll be relatively low scoring. I mean, that's the way Braden River's winning right now. I would guess something around like 21-17, something in that range.
Okay. So you like Braden River?
I like Braden River.
Okay. They've won 12 straight games in the counting the postseason. I don't think you can pick against them until they actually lose at some point. It's hard to pick against Braden River right now, the way that they're playing. And Plant City's ranked 10th in the state. Braden River's ranked 2nd. That's how they close out the regular season. So if you want to go on rankings, which who knows, only half the teams ranked at the season-ending 7A poll are still alive in the playoffs. But if you want to go on rankings, then it would seem appropriate that Braden River would win, and I think the Pirates are going to take down Plant City. I would say somewhere around the 24. I'm going to go kind of like similar to what I went last week with Venice, 24-21 or 27-21, somewhere around there. Plant City's given up 20 or more points a couple times this year.
Yeah.
Braden River's season high for their defense allowed is 20 points to a Venice team. So the teams just don't score on Braden River's defense. And as much as Plant City has a pretty well-rounded offense with some really talented guys at the wide receiver position and the running back position, I just don't think they're going to have enough running room to get it done. And Braden River's done a very good job this year of taking away the opponent's game plan. They did it against Venice this past week. Bryce Carpenter is the guy that makes Venice goes, and they took him out of the ball game pretty early and often. So, yeah, Braden River. We both like the Pirates, and until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side. This is Jason Dill for David Wilson, and this is the Bradenton Blitz.